Hey guys, thanks for coming by. If you are familiar with my channel, you probably noticed most of my movie reviews have been recent releases within the last 4 months when I started my channel. And same thing with TV shows, current TV shows that are airing on certain platforms. So I haven't had a chance to review many movies that have come out prior. So this will be my first review for a film that was released last year. This was First Man, released in October, a movie that I wanted to see ever since they announced they were making it. And I didn't get a chance to see it, unfortunately, in October because I had a lot of personal things going on at that time. So I knew I would probably buy it when it came out, and I finally did. And this was one I would be sure of that I would like. And yes, I was right. I loved it. So I want to share with you my thoughts of this movie and see if anyone who hasn't seen it yet, to persuade them maybe it might be something for you. First Man is considered an epic biographical drama directed by Damien Chazelle, the same man that brought us Whiplash and La La Land. It's written by Josh Singer and based on the book First Man, The Life of Neil Armstrong by James R. Hansen. The film stars Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong alongside Claire Foy as his wife, along with Jason Clarke, Kyle Chandler, Corey Stoll, and Ciarán Hinds. The story tells of Neil Armstrong and NASA as they endured many challenges throughout the 1960s that eventually led up to the Apollo mission to the moon in 1969. I really like movies that deal with space exploration, or if NASA is involved any way whatsoever in the movie, whether it be fiction, science fiction, or if it's based on a true story, I'm in for it. And a lot of them are very inspiring, not just this movie, but if you go back to other movies that I also recommend, like The Right Stuff, Apollo 13, The Martian, even science fiction ones such as Interstellar, 2001. These are movies that really convey a message. We want to explore deep space, the final frontier, and how much we're willing to go in order to succeed. And this movie here tells a story of probably one of the biggest moments in not even Americans' history, but our world in the 20th century. One of the biggest accomplishments we could ever obtain, and that is bringing a man to the moon. And here you got Ryan Gosling and Claire Foy, the two main actors that I'm really going to talk about. And with Ryan Gosling, he's a great actor. I've seen him in many movies, and here he's portraying a real person, Neil Armstrong, with a pretty close likeness to the real person. When you're portraying somebody that actually existed, why would you want to over dramatize it? Some actors do that and it works out, but this was Neil Armstrong, an astronaut. He was really, even though he was an astronaut, he was an everyday guy, and he pulled it off in a way that I almost forgot that was Ryan Gosling that I was watching. He did such a good job in just playing that normal person, and that usually can be a good performance when you're really acting like a normal person, and I loved him for that in this movie. Claire Foy, on the other hand, she was an actress that she's portraying somebody that wasn't as in the spotlight as much as Neil Armstrong was, but she did a performance that wasn't over dramatized, but it was the type of performance that I felt that she should have been given some type of Oscar nomination, which I'm surprised about. I'm surprised this movie didn't get a lot of Oscar nominations, by the way, which is something I'll mention later. Going next with the production and technical side of the movie, I loved how this movie was filmed. It was just amazing that I was convinced that this was the 1960s, and even the scenes when they do have the shuttle mission when they're going to the moon, the visual effects that go along with what I'm talking about with how he shot it, it felt like the actual Apollo 11 mission. And this film did win for special effects, the only Oscar it did win. And after watching it, I mean, you're watching the movie, you don't see many special effects, any visual effects, until towards the end when the launch actually happens for the most part. Then you get to see why this movie deserved the special effects. You have the art direction of the moon landing being recreated, and the Apollo 11, which once again looked realistic. The costume designs of them wearing those astronaut suits from that time, it looked authentic, and just visually it was very convincing to see that this was the 1960s. But everything out of the technical aspect, what I loved the most was the music, and the music was by Justin Hurwitz, the same man that brought us the music for La La Land. And the thing about movies that take place in space, or they're about space exploration or NASA, if you listen to, once again, scores from like Apollo 13 or The Right Stuff or Gravity, they have this very majestic sound to it. It's an epic type of music, but it's not the type of epic when I'm talking like Gladiator or Braveheart or Lord of the Rings. No, this is the type that you feel that it's all about the vastness of space and the exploration of it. And one of the many other reasons that I love these type of movies, because the music always hooks me in every time. And this is another thing is really sad about this movie. Didn't get a nomination for the score, which I really think it deserved. With the bad of this movie, I can only say one thing, and this is something that will turn some people off from watching it. It is an over 2-hour movie. The whole launching of Apollo 11 does not happen till the last 30 minutes of the movie. The first hour and a half is all about them going from 1961 up until that point and all the challenges that they had to endure in order for them to get to that point. And you're also seeing Neil Armstrong's personal life with his wife. And I found it interesting, but from other people that I have talked to, some of them have considered the film a bit boring or a bit slow at a glacial pace it goes with the storyline. And yes, I can see that. So this is for certain people that are willing to sit through this movie and actually take it all in piece by piece, because yes, it will run slow and even slower if it's something you are not interested in. One other thing that was really on my mind was the very last scene of this film. It kind of ends abruptly for some people, and I watched, I was like, that was very random. I won't say what it is if you haven't seen this yet and you're watching my review right now, but it ends in a way that just, you're like, oh, you felt like there should have been a scene after that. But it was a more personal type of scene, and I think, I'll just say this, I think it was the way of showing Neil Armstrong and how he may have been this man that accomplished something so global to step on the moon, but it still shows that he is just a man in the end. But in the end, I really like this movie. I gotta give it a 9 out of 10 out of my scale, and it's just unfortunate it didn't get a lot of credit that it deserved at the Oscars. It was only given 4 nominations. It won for visual effects, but I believe it should have been nominated for picture, director. Claire Foy should have been nominated for supporting actors at least. If not Best Picture, at least those other awards. But hopefully down the road, it gets the credit it deserves. And if anyone here is watching this review and you haven't seen it yet, hopefully I persuaded you to watch it, because it really is a good movie. But if you have already seen it, tell me in the comments below what did you think about this movie. Y'all have a great day. This is Ride the Movie Guy saying I'll see you at the movies.